Coming up in this bulletin, Gilbert Kenneth Ejay assumes office as Defense Minister. Will bring you details on that story. Also, the Ghana Association of University Administrators challenges the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission over 40% allowance deal and accuses the Commission of changing agreed terms.
Unfortunately, the meeting has been postponed. The minister currently is with the president of the nation. Director in charge of tertiary education tells us that the meeting will come off somewhere next week.
Also coming up in this bulletin, Inspector General of Police urges religious leaders to use someone to promote peace and religious tension in the country.
I ask 3 key commitments from you today. Strength. Dedicate your Friday sermons in Islam, but Sunday sermons strictly to messages of interfaith harmony, self-control, and the danger of religious conflict.
Also coming up, Rent Control Department to prosecute landlords without rent cards.
Where you have rented a property to a tenant, where's your rent card? And they are not able to produce. And you, the landlord, have not done that. These are the consequences. We are going to write letter to invite you to rent control.
Also, Managing Director of TDC calls on Tema Mayor to clarify permit agreement after she ordered the demolition of ongoing projects.
We still hold on to the fact that there is a good standing agreement between us. If they renege on that, they should let us know. We are expecting that even our letter will be responded to. No matter, regardless of the situation, we could have talked. We could have taken the vandalism out of this whole thing.
Also, Energy Minister gives encroachers on Gridco land 1 month to vacate or face action.
People are not supposed, and let me repeat that, are not supposed to encroach the right of way. And so let me make it clear without equivocation that where persuasion fails, force must be applied legally.
And in African news, vote counting suspended in Zambia over alleged attacks on polling staff. We've got details of these stories coming up shortly.
I am Elizabeth Aidoo.
And I am Zita Okwan.
Let's settle for the details of the news. Kenneth Gilbert Ejay has officially assumed office as Ghana's substantive Minister for Defense following a formal handing over and assumption of office ceremony at the ministry. Kenneth Gilbert Ejay signed official handing over document with the acting Defense Minister Dr. Kesla Toforsen marking the formal transition of leadership at the ministry. His assumption of office follows the death of the former Defense Minister Dr. Edward Manubuama, who died in a helicopter crash in 2025. Gilbert Ejay was recently reassigned from the Ministry of Works and Housing and Water Resources as part of President Mahama's first ministerial reshuffle since beginning his second term in office. The new defense minister is expected to take charge of the ministry at a time when national security, defense preparedness, and the welfare of personnel remains key priority for the government. The acting defense minister, Dr. Kesla Toforsen, spoke after handing over.
I formally hand over the leadership of the Ministry of Defense with a deep sense of gratitude, honor, and duty fulfilled. I thank first His Excellency, the President, and the Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces for entrusting me with this responsibility following the tragic helicopter crash of August 6th, 2025. I served in honor of those we lost and in service to our republic. I live with an even deep respect for the sacrifice, discipline, and professionalism of the Ghana Armed Forces and the defense civilian staff. To Honorable Minister for the Ministry of Defense, I want to use this opportunity to warmly welcome you. Your experience as a former Deputy Minister for Defense provides a strong foundation to lead the ministry forward. You have my full support and goodwill. To the Ministry of Defense, I believe the time has come to change our strategic posture. The future of defense cannot remain manpower heavy. It must become technology-led, intelligence-driven, agile. To our armed forces, yes, You have a new minister, but you have not lost me. I will always stand with you and will always support you. Protect your professionalism, preserve your discipline, remain loyal to the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana.
That's the acting Defense Minister, Dr. Kesla Shokosen, who is also the Finance Minister.
The allowances dispute between the Ghana Association of University Administrators, GAWA, and the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission has intensified, with GAWA accusing the Commission of changing the terms of a 40% increase in two allowances agreed during negotiations. The association response comes after the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission accused the Ghana Association of University Administrators of making unfair claims despite concluded negotiations. The Commission's Chief Executive Officer Dr. Smith Graham also described GAWA's comparison of its allowances with those of university lecturers as unfortunate and unfair, while maintaining that negotiations with the association had already been concluded.
The argument they are putting across is very unfair to us, very unfair to the labor front, and very unfair to everybody. First of all, we've met with them, had lengthy discussions with them, and concluded negotiations with them. And then it came to the time of UTAG. We also had the same lengthy negotiation and concluded with UTAG. It is surprising that when you see one group concludes its negotiation, you go and look at yours and then start doing that comparison. In the labor front, that is not even done. But let me address the specific issues. We noticed that the previous government, in an attempt not to introduce the touch the interim market premium, introduced several allowances. So it introduced the non-basic, it introduced online teaching support allowance and other allowances. So in our discussion, the decision was that, look, our law is to consolidate allowances and not to allow allowances to stay. So if that is the case, then we have to consolidate the allowances that from our records, from our minutes, was given because government didn't want to touch the interim market premium.
But the national president of Ghana Association of University Administrators, Reverend Kweku Amwa, says the commission's account does not reflect what was agreed during negotiations. He says GAWA and the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission agreed to a 40% increase in two allowances, market premium and non-basic allowances, with implementation expected to begin April 1.
Yes, we had lengthy conversations with GTEC, but we never, with Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. But we never ever cast the issue of market premium. What we discussed with them and agreed with them was that we agreed on a 40% increase on two allowances, market premium and non-basic allowance. And they were to give it a different name, not a replacement of our market premium. Because the government white paper on market premium states emphatically that market premium will be determined based on job evaluation. We have not done any job evaluation, but they have changed our market premium, and that is our major concern. Two, they told us that government has instructed them to negotiate on two allowances, only two. And they told us, government said the two allowances will be market premium and non-basic. And the adjustment should be modest so that they give it a different name on our payslips. We do this and agree that it will start from 1st April. You write back to us and tell us that although it's in agreement that implementation will begin in 1st April, but you have changed it to 1st July.
The Ghana Association of University Administrators president says the commission subsequently changed the implementation date from April 1 to July 1, despite the agreement having been signed. He also insists that Ghana Association of University Administrators never agreed to the replacement or alteration of its market premium, arguing that the government's policy requires market premium to be determined through a proper job evaluation.
And we said, how? This is not feasible. We agree and sign a document, and no one party can change it. So if Dr. Smith Graham is saying this, then he's being an unfair leader at the Unfair Wages Salaries Commission. Because when he came to our Congress, when he came to our Congress. He made some pronouncements, and we have had the recordings of that pronouncement that he made at the conference. So if he dare to play, if he's telling us that he exhausted every opportunity with us and signed off with us, so we are comparing ourselves, we tell him he's not telling us the truth. Because we are not comparing ourselves to anyone. We are not comparing to anyone. The substantive issue is that you have not done any job evaluation, just as the government white papers. And we have a ruling that also intimates that market premium should not be tempered with until a job evaluation is done. So if you are tampering with our job evaluation, we have the right to find out what modality did you use to evaluate my work before you check the market premium. What indicators did you use? You can't sit down and conjure any indicators and tell me that you are evaluating my work without consulting me. That indicates that if you are doing any evaluation, you need to interview, you need to have access to documents, you need to get the respondent's view. Which job evaluation did he do? When did he write to us that he is doing a job evaluation, and for that matter, he's changed our market premium? This is our beef, and this is what we want to tell him, that he's not being truthful. When he came to the Congress, he told us.
Meanwhile, the Minister for Education, Haruna Iddrisu, has invited the leadership of GAWA to a meeting as government seeks to resolve the impasse. The GAWA president says the association is hopeful the meeting will produce a favorable outcome, but cannot say when the ongoing strike will be called off. He says GAWA will this time rely on documented evidence from the stakeholders rather than verbal assurances. Well, the strike is also raising concerns among students of the University of Ghana who say some essential services on campus are being affected. The students say that disruption is beginning to affect academic activities and access the healthcare.
The strike is not going to help a lot of things in the university because we are students. We have things to do already. Academics is stressful. We are falling sick in between these academic works, and we don't want to come here and hear that the OPD is closed.
If these people are going on strike, I can't imagine the things that would go left in the universities, or the things that will not go the way it has to go, because administration is like a major part, as I mentioned earlier.
The accounts department is one of the important departments on the university campus, and since the administratives are going on strike, I think it's really going to affect the students because most of what we do are related to accounts.
You heard there are some students affected by the strike by GAWA. Well, in a related development, the allowances dispute involving university administrators and government has taken another turn with the Teachers and Educational Workers Union, also raising concerns over what it describes as the persistent neglect and unfair treatment of non-teaching staff in Ghana's education sector. TEU has issued a 2-week ultimatum to government and other stakeholders to address what it says are long-standing grievances affecting non-teaching workers across the education sector. The union is demanding, among other things, the payment of outstanding overtime allowances owed to watchmen and security personnel within the Ghana Education Service, as well as a protection of its representation on governing councils of universities and colleges of education. TEU says failure to address its concerns by the end of the 2-week period will compel its members to advise themselves accordingly, raising concerns over possible industrial action in the education sector.
To some other stories, the Inspector General of Police, Christian Tete Yowono, has called on Christian and Muslim leaders to use their Friday and Sunday sermons to promote interfaith harmony, self-control, and peaceful coexistence amid recent religious tension. He made a call during a meeting with religious leaders at the police headquarters, following reports that some clerics allegedly incited violence through their religious teachings, and videos of the incidents widely circulated on social media. The IGP urged religious leaders to publicly demonstrate Christian-Muslim unity and remind their congregation that Ghana's peace must be protected. He stressed that religious leaders have a responsibility to ensure their words do not inflame tension, but instead help calm the situation and promote peaceful coexistence.
Our revered clergy and the imams, our beloved chief imam, they all look up to us. They listen to your sermons, read your social media posts, and follow your gestures. At this fragile moment, your words can either act as water upon an emerging fire or as petrol upon dying embers. I ask 3K commitments from you today. Strength. Dedicate your Friday sermons in Islam, Kubat, and Sunday sermons strictly to messages of interfaith harmony, self-control, and the danger of religious conflict. Remind your congregations that an attack on the peace of Ghana is an attack on the future of their own children. Model cross-faith unity. Let the public see Christians and Islamic leaders standing together, sharing meals, issuing joint statements, and working through our communities hand in hand. Show the youth that diversity of faith is strength, not a fault line. Reaffirm trust in statutory justice.
The IGP also rejected mob justice and urged Ghanaians to rely on the statutory justice system whenever an offense is suspected. He said violence and vigilante action cannot replace the rule of law, urging citizens to allow the appropriate state institution to investigate allegations and pursue justice.
And Islamic leaders standing together, sharing meals, issuing joint statements, and working through our communities hand in hand. Show the youth that diversity of faith is strength, not a fault line. Reaffirm trust in statutory justice. Admonish mob justice, online harassment or physical violence. Teach them that trusting the state to resolve offenses is a mark of civic maturity and religious wisdom. In conclusion, my dear brothers and sisters, my father, just look around our West African sub-region. We see nations where smalls were allowed to fester until they grew into infernos of civil strife, destroying communities, markets, schools, and places of worship. Ghana has been spared this tragedy, not because we are immune to disagreement, but because generations before us chose to dialogue over destruction and brotherhood over. Made in this matter serve as a clear reminder that the law works. And let this meeting mark the end of hostility. Let us leave this hall today united in purpose, to guard our peace, to honor our Creator, through our love for one another, and to ensure that Ghana remains a beacon of light, tolerance, and justice for the world. May God.
That's the Inspector General of Police, Christian Tetayono.
Now, the Minister for Energy and Green Transition, Dr. John Abdullahi Jinapor, has directed individuals and institutions encroaching on the Ghana Grid Company Limited (GRIDCO) rights of way to vacate the protected areas or face enforcement action. The directive follows an inspection of emergency restoration works on the damaged Tema Achimota transmission line near Ashaiman, Middle East. The minister said the incidents, which occurred after a full tanker undergoing welding works beneath the transmission line exploded, demonstrated the potentially fatal consequences of activities within protected transmission corridors. The minister cited LI 542 as amended by LI 1737, which prohibits activities within protected corridors extending 15 meters or either side of 116 kilowatts transmission line and 20 meters for 330 kilowatts lines. Speaking after the tour, the sector minister stressed that compliance with the regulations was necessary to protect lives and property and maintain the reliability of Ghana's power supply.
People are not supposed, and let me repeat that, are not supposed to encroach the right of way. And so let me make it clear without equivocation that where persuasion fails, force must be applied legally. We've been announcing, we've been issuing statements, we've been appealing to people to move away or evacuate on their own and to stop working under the pylons. In fact, as you see for yourself, these pylons are very, very high voltage pylons.
You heard the Minister for Energy, Dr. John Abdullahi Jnr. Meanwhile, some parts of the Greater Accra region will experience temporary interruptions in power supply this weekend as restoration and planned maintenance works are carried out on the damaged Tema Achimota transmission line. According to the ministry, the planned maintenance will take few hours and was necessary to facilitate the restoration works safely. In a post on Facebook, the energy minister appealed to residents who may be affected by the temporary power interruptions to bear with the authorities, stressing that the shutdown would support efforts to restore the safety and reliability of the transmission system.
To some other stories, 3 high-profile cases have dominated proceedings in courts this week despite the legal vacation. The Court of Appeal has struck out and withdrawn the Attorney General's application for a stay of execution in the Sedina Tamaklo Atienu case, while the trial of former Cyber Security Authority boss Kwame Okyere Jnr and former Buffer Stock CEO Hanan Abdul Wahab have been both adjourned to August 17 over the absence of their lawyers. There's more in the following report.
The Court of Appeal has struck out as withdrawn an application filed by the Attorney General seeking a stay of execution of its decision acquitting and discharging former Maslock Chief Executive Officer Sedina Tamaklo Atienu. The state informed the court on Wednesday, August 12, that it had filed a notice withdrawing the application on August 10. Counsel for the Republic, led by Winfred Sapon, confirmed the state's decision to withdraw the application. The withdrawal was announced on the day the court was scheduled to deliver its ruling on the application, which had earlier been adjourned after the panel heard arguments from both sides. 2 high-profile cases continued at the High Court in Accra this week, despite the legal vacation. The case involving former public officials were, however, adjourned to August 17 after defense lawyers failed to appear. Former Cyber Security Authority Director General Kwame Aidoo and his wife, Angela Ajayi-Boateng, the High Court adjourned the trial after lawyers for the accused persons failed to appear before the court. The court was told that efforts to reach counsel for the first and second accused had proved difficult. The Deputy Attorney General told the court that lead counsel for Kwabena Aidoo Samuel Ata-Achia had written to the Chief Justice Paul Bafoboni and the Ghana Bar Association indicating that he would not attend court during legal vacation. Presiding Judge Justice Francis Achibonga said it would not be fair to require the accused person to continue with the cross-examination of the fourth prosecution witness without their lawyers. Justice Achibonga, however, gave the lawyers a 6-day ultimatum to appear in court or have the accused persons continue the cross-examination themselves. Kwabena Aidoo and Angela Ajayi-Boateng are facing 11 charges, including stealing and causing financial loss to the state. Another high-profile case involving former Buffer Stock CEO Hanan Abdul Wahab and his wife Faiza Seydou was also adjourned to August 17 after their lawyers failed to appear before the Accra High Court. Hanan Abdul Wahab told the court that his lawyer Godfred Yeboah-Dame was unwell and could not appear before the court. Faiza Seydou similarly informed the court that her lawyer Augustine Obuo was indisposed. The court, however, expressed concern about the absence of medical evidence confirming the lawyer's reported illness. A 5-day adjournment was subsequently granted to allow both lawyers to appear on August 17 for the trial to continue. Hanan Abdul Wahab and Faiza Seydou are facing charges including stealing, defrauding by false pretense, and money laundering.
Those are the cases that transpired in court this week.
The Rent Control Department is warning landlords who fail to issue rent cards to their tenants that they risk prosecution. Speaking on the Class Morning Show, the Acting Rent Control Commissioner Frederick Opoku said landlords who do not provide the mandatory rent card will be invited to the department to explain why they should not be prosecuted. He said the department will begin a nationwide enforcement exercise from November, with a task force expected to inspect properties properties and check landlords' compliance with the law. He added that the rent card serves as an important record of transactions between landlords and tenants and helps the department to investigate disputes over rent and other tenancy-related matters.
As we speak, some recalcitrant landlords still do not see the need to issue. And very soon, when we deploy by November, God willing, some of the task force across the country, they will come to your house and ask you, why have you issued your rent card? Explain why we should not prosecute you. And look, these are the offenses. 30th November, we deploy people to your home, ask you, have you issued your rent card? Or we come home where you have rented a property to a tenant. Tenant, where's your rent card? And they are not able to produce. And you, the landlord, have not done that. These are the consequences. We are going to write a letter to invite you to rent control. Come and explain why we should not prosecute you. If you come to rent control, we don't have any reasonable cause. We'll just straight to Attorney General. We will send you to court, and these are the punishment. If you are convicted by the court of competent jurisdiction, you either pay 200 penalty units, that is about 2,400 Ghana cedis. In default, go to prison 6 months. It is clear in the law, offenses. I am not telling you. And the judges are also obliged to do that by the rules and apply it. No mercy. If you are found culpable of not producing, it's a simple law. You do this, you must go for 6 months or you pay 2,400.
If I'm a landlord, where can I get that card?
Only it's a value book, so you cannot buy it in the market. It's not sold in an open place. You can't go to any publishing place to buy rent card. Rent cards are taken from Rent Control Department of the Republic.
You heard that the acting Rent Control Commissioner Frederick Opoku.
A dispute is brewing between the Tema Development Company Limited (TDC) and Tema Metropolitan Assembly over the demolition of portions of an infilling project at Community 1 Site 3. The Assembly Task Force halted the project and demolished structures on the site, which it says was reserved for community playground and other public facilities. But speaking to Class News, the Managing Director of TDC, Okyere Jnr, said the company received a letter from the Assembly dated August 7 requesting documentation and steps towards securing the necessary permits.
On, we received a letter from the TMA that we should provide or take steps to get permits and some few other, documentation to prior to the commencement of the project. Got that letter on the 10th. As a matter of fact, the letter is dated on the 7th. I'm sure your reporters have that letter. They can make it available to you. It's dated on the 7th and we got it on the 10th. So the next day we had a management meeting and quickly responded and delivered a letter saying to the assembly that we have a long-standing relationship to the extent that whatever project we are doing, we are not supposed to get the permit project. In that same vein, when they also need a land, we give it out for free once the land is available. And when you even give them land and they build properties, be it commercial or whatever they are using, we cannot go there and take grant permits. That relationship, that understanding has existed for decades, more than 4 decades. And that has been a situation. So we were surprised when we got that letter. So we responded accordingly that this is the relationship between us. So we are shocked that this is coming on. However, if they want to change the narrative, they should let us know so that we can know how to proceed forward. Then, in their letter, they stated that 7 days is given to us to respond. So we were expecting that, having received our letter, either they will respond to us or we will take the steps to start the process, the permit process.
That's the Managing Director of TDC, Okyere Jnr.
To some African stories, Zambia's Electoral Commission has suspended the counting of votes from Thursday presidential and parliamentary elections over alleged attacks on polling staff. The authority says the process would be halted with immediate effect nationwide as it expressed concern over reports of violence that had resulted in the theft of marked ballot papers in ballot boxes. The Zambian president is seeking a second 5-year term and is the main opposition candidate among 13 challengers. That's Brian Mundubile. Legally, the Electoral Commission has until the end of Sunday to announce the outcome.
A reputable company is looking for dynamic, result-oriented and hard-working sales and marketing executives to work with. If you have a strong communication skills, a passion for marketing, the ability to build relationships with clients, and a proven desire to achieve targets, we want to hear from you. This is your opportunity to build your career, expand your professional network, and become a valued member of a dynamic organization. Simply call 020588 9224 or 05045322291. Deadline for application is August 24, 2026. Apply today. Your next big career opportunity could be just one application away. Now this ends the class news at 12 right here on Class 91.3 FM. For more news and update, do log on to classfmonline.com. The news team will be back on 5:05 with Kwame Okyere Jnr. Do stay and enjoy the rest of our programs. I am Elizabeth Aidoo.
And I am Zita Okwan. Good afternoon.